So far, so good. pjnet.tv. It is 9 p.m. on the East Coast of the United States. We're running our bumper, and we have two guests standing by in our green rooms, plural. We're recording, we're streaming, and we are starting a countdown to Studio 35 Alpha. Well, good evening and welcome to pjnet.tv, and what a exciting special night we have planned for you. As you can tell, we don't get to use Studio 35 that often. It's good to occupy this space now and then because it is set up for not one but two guests from different parts of the world. And over here you see a beautiful cover reveal for The Love of Emma. That book is written by Star Ayers, who will be on screen shortly. And over here you see a cover reveal for Jewels of Hebrews. That is Stephanie Pavlantos. Now, Stephanie is our regular guest on the first Wednesday of every month, and both Stephanie and Star are standing by. Let's bring them on screen and introduce them and put their names up here. Ladies, I am so happy to be a part of this because I know what we're going to talk about. We haven't rehearsed it or anything. But Stephanie, it's always good to have you join us monthly. But a couple of months ago, I think that you were kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Reorganizing your life.
Right.
And there were things that you were just going to throw overboard, at least for the rest of the year. And your appearance here on our program was one of them. But I wouldn't allow it.
That's right. Yes, I was going to take a couple months off, and I had a lot going on, and God changed everything. So he's put an end to the things I thought were going to start in January and February. So I thought, well, maybe it's best I actually have started, kind of taking a break from some things and just kind of telling different things I've been involved in, people that I've been involved in different ministries that I need some time off. So yes, and you were one of them that I thought, well, maybe I need to take some time off, but
Yeah. So
you wouldn't let me. So.
now, last month, I remember it well because you did something very different last month. And I think you had earlier, before our program here last month, you had appeared on a podcast. And in that podcast, you had very transparently and, to be honest, quite painfully, shared the experiences of being a special needs mom. And that was the subject matter a month ago. And I know it was hard for you. But apparently, somebody else saw the program as well, and that would be Star. Star, what were you thinking as you heard Stephanie share the joys, challenges, and burdens of being a special needs mom?
Yeah. I actually didn't see it live. It was actually the next night when, I just decided, I think I'm going to tune in and see what's happening, and ran across Stephanie's interview and was just really captured by it, her vulnerability and her transparency, and it resonated so with me as the parent of a Down syndrome daughter. I could feel her pain, and I knew exactly, well, pretty much they're different, but we were both on the same journey, on different tracks, but still the same journey, the same emotions, the same pain, the same contradictory emotions that just kind of pour through your mind in what's supposed to be a joyous event. It just it just kind of gets thrown all up in the air, and you just don't know really where to land.
Well, apparently it impacted you to the point that you made a comment and expressed your your thanks, I guess, for Stephanie sharing her story.
Yes.
And the next thing you know, Stephanie, you and Star are in a back and forth conversation that must have gone on 8 or 9 layer. You know, I had to scroll down to read it all. But tell us about that conversation online.
Right. We started online, and she made some suggestions just about like, oh, you said exactly what I've lived through, and and our stories and things. I know I've been there too, and I had seen pictures, so I saw Ashley on Facebook with her, just in different pictures she shared, and so I I knew that there was a special needs child, and I just want to make a point of saying that neither one of us, and we've talked about this, but neither one of us ever called ourselves special needs mothers. Um, I never thought of it that way. I was just a mom that had a child that needed extra attention and some medical issues, So I never really thought of myself as that way, but um, so we connected immediately because as she's sharing and I'm responding and we're going back and forth. It ended up like we finally said goodnight at 11:30 that night, because then we moved from Facebook to texting, I think, and so we were going back and forth for a while and just kind of throwing out ideas and things that we felt like the Lord was showing us both. And we happened to be really on the same page, which was really amazing to me because I was like, yeah, everything she was saying, I'm like, yes, that's this kind of stuff I was thinking. And I felt like the Lord was laying on my heart. So it was a cool conversation and it was an unexpected conversation.
So, Star, when you
Mark,
made
you were the one that started it because on that thread that I had typed my comment to her, you came in, you interjected, and you said, oh, well, maybe one day there'll be a book about this. Do you happen to know a good writer?
Oh, that's right.
And so you started it.
yeah, well, thank you,
And
Star.
actually, it was something, huh?
Well, thank you. You know, I have no ambition to be a writer, but I work with so many, and I don't think of myself as the go-to resource for inspiration. But anytime that I can influence or inspire somebody to use their skills in a way that I never could, yeah, it makes me feel good.
Well, it wasn't the first time I had thought about writing something about special needs, but, I never had a green light from the Lord to do it. And it was just that connection that night with Stephanie. And then with you saying that it was like, whoa, green light flashing big time. Now might be the time to wade into this. And so it's Stephanie and I didn't even know she had a special needs child before that night.
Oh.
But, there are quite a few within the PJNet family that have special needs children. And so it just all started gelling and coming together. And so, I thoroughly enjoyed. I mean, I knew Stephanie, I'd met her before, but I didn't know that we had that bond and that connection, So it's been fun. And we have really seen God moving in our planning processes.
So, Star, when you made that initial, comment, did you have any notion that you were signing up for a 2-hour dialogue with Stephanie?
Oh, absolutely not. I mean, I was just thought, as a mother, I was not going to let her, be on the air like that and be so vulnerable and so transparent and not tell her how meaningful it was, and how effective it was and how I was glad that she did that was needed, that people need to know how to respond to families who have special needs children, because it impacts us, in a big way, and impacts those around us. And a lot of times they don't quite know how to respond. We don't even know how to. We
No.
don't even know how to handle it, much less help someone else. But after you kind of step back from it and you have a little bit more perspective, you have some ideas of some things that maybe would help not only special needs families, but would help those who love them and want to minister to them.
Stephanie,
Yeah,
I know that in my life anyway, and I think it's an awkward social situation when we encounter a parent who has a child with special needs. It's almost like it's the elephant that's in the room that nobody talks about, and at
Right.
the same time, it so dominates your life in your parenting role. And there's this chasm, between us. And I am just beside myself thinking the two of you are going to step up and build a bridge over that chasm, to connect us we just don't know what to do. And we feel awkward and, but gosh, you're living. So the next step, I think you two were on a Zoom meeting the next week.
Yeah, we actually had a couple of Zoom meetings. So
Oh.
we had one before the holidays, and then we had one just yesterday.
This
Yeah,
week,
Tuesday.
yeah.
So
Yeah, it was
yesterday's
yesterday.
was like
It
3.5
was
hours.
yesterday. We had a 3-hour Zoom meeting. And hey, yeah.
Oh,
I
We
know.
laid that whole book out. I mean,
Yeah,
we've got the
we did.
contents. We got it done.
thank you for not inviting me to that one.
No,
We're
no.
not messing around.
Hey, in my family, I get off, and my husband's like, "You know how long you've been on that call?" And I go, "Yeah." Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
So I said, and you know what? I'm starving. I said, I think I just burned like so much energy just thinking and planning and talking, and time just got away. I mean, we started at 11 and it was like 2:30 when we got off, but we did have some trouble getting connected at first. So we didn't get, even though we planned for 11 o'clock, it didn't actually happen right then. But we got so much, and that's when you know that the Lord is involved, because you start getting like plans just start falling into place. And then I'm like, I really don't want to do this all over Zoom. I'd really like to maybe get together and maybe face to face, sit down at the same table and write sometimes. And she's like, I thought the same thing. And so so just like we were really in tune. I felt like we were really in tune with the things that we wanted to do and the things we wanted to emphasize and everything. So I guess for me, that's how I see God working,
So, Star, as you and Stephanie are zooming, you've got your idea of this is what it'll look like. Stephanie has her idea of this is what it'll look like. How did it look for you, Star? How did it look for you, Stephanie? And how did it mesh together? And what is it going to look like?
We were pretty much on the same page. We talked about our writing styles and how she thought, because I came across very organized and very planned, and so she said, you must be a plotter. And I said, not really. When I write, I am just like she is. I'm a seat of the pantser, I'm a pantser. And so I don't plan when I wrote my fiction. I just get an idea and I take it and I run with it, and God fills in the gaps. But I was telling her, for something like this, for a nonfiction book, what I do when God gives me the green light or gives me a vision, I say, okay, you're going to need to show me what this looks like. This is your book. What does it look like? And then I just pray about it. And then even, when I'm fixing my hair in the morning, I mean, he's just downloading things into my mind about a scripture that something's based on, or, what the beginning will look like, what the end will look like. And so I just presented it to her, and And, and she had her own ideas, and we have, I think we're going to work great together. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I think, we we love God, number one. We love each other, number two. And, we have enough respect for each other and our writing expertise, to at least listen to what the other person is saying. And, up front, we're not going to be offended. I told her I've been an artist all my life. I've been under the critique gun all my life. I can take constructive criticism, and I can sometimes even take not so constructive criticism. But I've just always lived with it. So yeah, I mean, anytime that I have been critiqued, most of the time it makes me stronger. It makes my writing better. So, and I think Stephanie would say the same thing.
So, Steph, what's the idea at this point? Of course, it's a work in progress, but are we going to have a chapter from you, a chapter from Star, or a chapter from you, or how many points are we going to get, ping-ponged around the United States with case studies? How's it going to look?
No, it's actually, now we had different ideas for a title, but I really saw the Lord in some of the things that she was saying and the ideas that she had. So, do you want to hear our working title?
Well,
because
yeah.
I want to. Is that okay, Star? We start
Sure,
there?
go ahead.
So, this was something that she brought in because this was when she was looking into the scriptures for how are disabilities described, how are they portrayed in scripture, and we started talking about the story in 2 Samuel with David just wanting to do something for Jonathan's descendants, his children. He wanted to bring them in and sit them at his table. So as we talked about that and stuff, then she got this idea, how about room at the table? Because that's what David did. He brought in this son of Jonathan, who was lame, yes. And I didn't want to say his name because I knew I just messed it up.
Mephibosheth.
Yep.
I think that's right.
Yeah.
Yes,
spell it for us.
Hey, actually, the funniest thing, yes, it's Mephibosheth.
Yeah, I'm lost.
Because I actually found this YouTube guy who says all the names that are in the Old Testament. So it's so much fun because I'll just click on him and say, how do I pronounce this word? But anyway, so this man was lame in both feet. And I don't think David was expecting that, but that's who came. He's Jonathan's son. So he makes room for him at this table. He says, you will dine at my table. And then he even, gets him servants and whatnot. But so we thought, what a great title for room at the table. I mean, when she said it, I liked it, and I could see that coming together. Because really, that's the whole thing. I mean, when you bring people to your table, you're welcoming them into your home and into your life. And that's what we want to do with these families. We want them to know that we are welcoming them in. And it's the same like what I shared when I spoke to you. It's like, what was easier for a mom with a special needs child was for them to come to me and come and join my table, because sometimes it was easier than trying to get my son out of the house. But there were plenty of people who also welcomed us in their home and at their table. And so, so I think it was just very fitting. But then we're going to have the second part of the title is Stories of Encouragement from Special Needs Families. So one of the bigger sections of the book is going to be stories from other families, moms, sisters, caregivers, brothers, whomever, grandparents, whomever wants to share their story of caring for and being with this special needs child in their life. And the audience, because we had to keep going back and forth, like who is our audience? And our audience are people like you who don't necessarily live with a child who has a special need, but know people who do, and how we can help those friends and neighbors understand what we need and what our child needs. So those are the stories.
Star, I can imagine as let's say that I get kind of pulled into this conversation or this book and the subject matter. One of the apprehensions I think that I would experience is, I cannot commit myself to taking ownership of their family. So you think people stand off a little bit because they're afraid that once they get in, there's no exit. There's. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't want to, I've got my own baggage, and can I be, if I came and had dinner at your house, would I be able to not do that and not take care of your children? And how do we limit our what's the word I'm looking for? Our availability, involvement there.
I think even when somebody has a relative that dies, we have those same feelings. We don't quite know how to approach that person or what to say, or will it make it, if something I say, will it make it worse? Will it make them cry?
Mm-hmm.
What am I going to do and what am I going to say? But you know what? You just need to visit. I actually was part of an anthology years ago, and I came up at the end of my story in the anthology about a special needs child. God gave me 4 P's. And one of them, as far as people like you, friends, neighbors, family, who do not know how to minister to this special needs family, is to, number one, to pray for the family, and to pray for discernment on how they can minister to the family. But then addressing what you're saying is their presence, to be present in that family's life, and not to avoid the situation, but to embrace them and the circumstances, and to give them unconditional love. Right. And then, the 3rd P was praise. All mamas want to know that their child is beautiful and that their child is valued. And so if you will just ooh and ah over their baby, like you would any other child that was born, the mother needs that. And then the last one is presence, but it's presents.
Okay.
And that is, take gifts, make it a celebration, just like you would with anything. Take gifts, take gift cards, take baby items, just pray about it and take what God lays on your heart, gift cards, whatever. And so it's the same, it's the birth, it's the same thing. And we need the same things as moms, whether it's a special needs child or it's not a special needs child. You treat them the same.
Stephanie,
that's why we're talking about, we didn't consider ourselves special needs mothers. We just treated them like we treated our other children. Your normal children have different needs. Your special needs children have different needs. No different.
Yeah. Stephanie, as you were talking about, having Jonathan's family come to the table, I kind of, in my mind, I kind of fast forwarded to the New Testament, because you got me thinking. Jesus spent his entire ministry dealing with, in effect, special needs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we talked about that.
Even the occasion that the children wanted to kind of get up there in Jesus's lap, like he was Santa Claus or something, and the adults, the mature spiritual discerners in the crowd said, no, Jesus is real important. He's busy. You can't do that. Jesus reached out to those special needs children, although they had no apparent physical infirmity or defect.
Right.
But their special need was that they were different from adults. They're not adults
Right.
yet. We treat children differently. But Jesus spent his entire ministry ministering to, well, special needs. Some were blind,
Yes.
some were lame, some were demon possessed, some were just children. They just weren't adults yet.
Yes. Well,
I love
it's
that you
funny.
brought that up because Stephanie, hey, Mark, that is from Mark 10:13-16, and that is the very first scripture in our book,
It's
Oh.
the
right after the
first
introduction.
one.
It's
Because that's
before
what
the introduction.
came to me, and she had a set of scriptures, and I had some, and I'm like, we need to bring in this scripture because Jesus, I have it in front of me, but it says when Jesus saw this, he was indignant. He was like, do not keep them
Yes.
from coming to me. And I just thought that's so good because that's exactly, if we're supposed to be like Jesus, we should be indignant when someone tries to keep a child from reaching their potential, a child from knowing that they're loved or that they're valuable, because I'm tutoring someone right now, okay? And his mom can't figure out why he wants to be here to learn, and she goes, you have a special way with him. I treat him with respect. I don't sit here and cuss him out when he gets something wrong. I treat him like I would want my own child treated by someone who was tutoring them, and he doesn't get that. He's a little bit on the autistic, realm, or what's it called? Sorry, I forgot the word. But because of that, he doesn't get treated the way he should. And it's like, that's just not, he knows when he comes here, he's not going to be treated that way. And because of that, he does the work I ask him to do.
Star, to mitigate or to exacerbate the scenario when we go back to Jesus and the children. If we are in church today and a baby starts to cry or fidget, the mother usually is expected to grab that baby and get her the heck out of here. They're interrupting our worship service. We have become so normal that our tolerance of anything that is not what we call normal is therefore unacceptable. It's very deeply woven into the fabric of our culture.
That's when I appreciate our pastor. Once a month, he brings. We have a separate children's church, but once a month we have those children come in and sit with their families, and it teaches them, that there is a time where you have to sit and you have to be still and you have to listen. You're not always entertained. And so he just tells us, he said there may be a little bit more commotion today because the children are in here, but, this is where they need to be. And we just all need to readjust our thinking. When we were growing up, there wasn't any children's church. We always had to sit, in the big church.
Mm-hmm. And that little old lady in the pew in front of you had a fly swatter or something that, if you got fidgety.
Yeah, turn around and give you a look.
Well, it sounds like the two of you have been quite engaged since that fateful night a month ago. What's the timetable? Stephanie?
Stephanie, go for it.
Well, we hope to have all of our contributors bring in their stories or send in their stories by February 1st. And in that meantime, to go back to a question you asked, we actually have different sections laid out. So sections like the introduction and about this book where, I'll do one section and she'll do the other. And then like God's perspective is one section that we're planning. So that's the part from the scriptures, of course. And we're going to work on stuff like that together. And so I, I think we even talked about wanting to put it in the Blue Ridge Conference Foundation Awards. So we definitely want to have enough of it done that we can do that. But yeah, I reached out to my publisher and just to get a feel of what they might think of it. And so we have really gotten a lot accomplished in the short time that we have been discussing this, because this actually, we even said yesterday when we were talking, it's like, it's been a month. It's been 1 month, and already we have a whole outline for a book.
Yeah. And the one thing that I'm excited about too, I think Stephanie is too, we talked about at the end of the book, we're going to have a section called Come to the Table. It's going to be an invitation to dine. And that's going to be the spot where, we extend the salvation message to people and invite them to come to the table too.
We are very excited.
Well, I can't help but be excited, and I'm thinking, the two of the backgrounds that I'm familiar with of the two of you is, well, Star, you started out as a painter, but then now you've written two fiction, romance, girl stuff, and Stephanie, you're so.
Who would have thought that?
Yeah, you write the books that later become chick flicks.
Yeah. Wish.
And Stephanie, you were the studious, Bible study type. Or that's how I kind of think of you as, the expert on the rabbinical Hebrew stuff. So you're the professor. And now here the two.
She keeps me in line. She keeps me in line.
You are embarking on a mission that has nothing in common with that.
I know. It's
funny. But we've lived it.
Mm-hmm.
But we've
that's
lived
what
it.
we do have in common and that's a big bond. I think it's a big, because these are your children, and we're first, of course, we're wives, but we're also moms, and that's a huge deal to both of us, to be a good mom and to be a godly mother and to lead our children to Jesus. And I guess that just kind of that, when I meet another woman like that, and then on top of all of that, she has a child that she can identify with in the same way I do, with a special need. I think it just creates a bond that only God can put there.
I'm excited about it.
Yes.
I know I can't possibly be more excited than you are, but I think that, of so many books, are coming out, but this book will help minister to those who need to help minister to others. I mean, this is making disciples. Isn't that what we're supposed to be doing? Isn't that?
Yes.
Yeah. And it's
funny. And I thank you for your part in it, Mark.
Yes.
Well, I'm thrilled, Star. I'm very honored. I mean, it blows me away. There were some events, good things that happened today, and I reminded, now that Barbara, our associate producer, is in the chat room, God is showing favor. And I was in my devotions and prayer, and I'm thinking, Lord, thank you. Just thank you. I've had the opportunity that started out as such a just little side assignment, a little detour, going to a Christian Writers Conference to film someone who had hired me to make a video for them, has turned into a family.
Right.
I'm just blown away at what God is doing through each of us with our, individual talents, but the Lord is showing favor, and I am so grateful, and I pray that the Lord will just show favor on both of you, mature yet youthful and energetic and vibrant ladies, just light the path that will help the rest of us not only minister to you and be your brother or sister in Christ, but to literally engage with those children who need us, that need acceptance, that need to be loved. Their need for love and affirmation is no different than the rest of us. And
exactly,
it's like oxygen. You just can't live without it.
Yeah. And in relation to what you said, those just little steps of obedience that we take, that we think that they're not really going to amount to a lot. We just think they're pretty inconsequential. But in the end, we see how God ordered the steps, and how God orchestrated it all. And we talked about that yesterday, about how, if she had not been obedient and gotten on the air and made herself transparent and vulnerable like she did, this wouldn't be happening.
Exactly.
But God had ordered the steps of both of us. And so, I'm thankful to her that she took that step of obedience.
Well, and I am too. And folks, whatever your situation, you may be, carrying a burden. You may just be exhausted, and you may have so many things going on. You feel like quitting. Just never give up. You're right there. You're just right there. Don't quit short of the goal line. And Stephanie, I appreciate you sticking in there and going across that goal line. And I think God is going to do some really amazing work between the two of you. And thanks, Star, for sharing on here with us. I know that Stephanie's bashful and she needed somebody to, kind of.
Yeah, I know. Well, thank you for giving us the platform to share what God is doing and to help us, reach out to people who might have a special needs child that we don't know about, that might
Now's
just
the time.
drop the email in the comments so that if they're interested in writing a story, that we can send them the guidelines.
Sounds wonderful. Ladies, I'm looking forward to this. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you so much for having us.
All
it's been
right.
fun. Bye, Stephanie.
There
Bye.
you go. Okay, well, folks, there we are, pjnet.tv. What a great night this has been. I hope, gosh, that is so wonderful. It just keeps getting better and better and better. And it's not because of what these two young women said or did. It's not because what I did. It's not just, it's what we do together as a team. Nothing worthwhile has ever been accomplished solo when you think about it. Okay. Well, that's going to wind it up for us tonight. We will be back, of course, tomorrow night starting at 9 p.m. Eastern right here on pjnet.tv. I hope that you have been blessed as much as I have by hearing from Star and Stephanie tonight. Now, before I leave, what's the boldest thing that you've ever done for Jesus Christ? Maybe go to somebody's house who has some special needs, whether that be a special needs child, or maybe that may mean washing their dishes because they broke their arm, like my neighbor across the street. Maybe taking her to the doctor. Folks, there's special needs all around us. Jesus spent his entire ministry helping out with special needs. We can do that. What's the boldest thing you've ever done? Okay, got that in your mind? How long ago was that? It's never over. Okay, you're never there. We don't just arrive. We're just always on a journey getting closer and closer and closer in our walk with Jesus. So whatever your answers were to those two questions, just don't be satisfied with them. Keep doing better.